this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, the origins of some of the most popular and deadly teams from the Akatsuki are finally revealed. Color me surprised, I honestly thought this entire arc was going to be devoted just to Itachi, but I think the most interesting element of this arc is getting to learn a little bit more about the Akatsuki and all the various members they went through. This episode is really cool because we get to see the very first mission that Deidara and Sasori went on. We also got to see the initial confrontation between Kakuzu and Hidan. Yes, the two immortals finally come together in this week's action-packed episode. That being said, this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden was not perfect. There were some artwork and animation moments that really brought this one down for me. That being said, there were some events that went down in this episode which were pretty damned awesome. The episode immediately opened up with Deidara being dragged into the Akatsuki organization. He still hates Itachi, he just wants to kill him and blow him up, and reluctantly, he is going to be teamed up with Sasori. However, this leads to an amazing scene that we never saw before. Because Orochimaru has betrayed the Akatsuki, they decide that they want to take him out as he might be a threat to their organization at some point in the future. So we have this fantastic sequence where Deidara and Sasori go out to the middle of this desert, they find one of Orochimaru's secret hangouts, and they end up having a battle with him. And this is an event that is just plain strange. So Sasori comes out, he immediately decides to bring out his secret weapon, which is the puppet version of the third Kazekage. So what does Orochimaru do? He uses his Edo Tensei technique to summon the actual Kazekage. That's right! We have the reanimated corpse of the third Kazekage fighting against the puppet version of him. And you know what? This was a really cool idea. It also shows that the Edo Tensei technique is really the ultimate form of taking advantage of a dead body and being able to use it in a weaponized form. Because as cool as that puppet is, as many bells and whistles as it has, with the poisons and all of the blades and everything, and even the third Kazekage's secret ability, which is to use that iron sand, it really has nothing against the real thing. When the third Kazekage finally does emerge in this episode, it looks so awesome, especially when Orochimaru takes that one kunai and tag, shoves it into the back of his head, and he actually returns to his true form. The problem with Edo Tensei, however, is that sometimes those who are reanimated can actually take control back, and when Orochimaru is telling both Deidara and Sasori that he is going to capture them and make them his pawns as well, this does not sit well with the third Kazekage, and he decides, screw this, I'm done, and he immediately dissipates. Obviously, at this point in the series, Orochimaru has not perfected the Edo Tensei technique quite yet, and he makes a quick, snake-like escape before Deidara decides to blow up his entire headquarters in a blaze of glory. The second half of the episode is when we are formally introduced to Hidan and how he actually joined the Akatsuki organization. Apparently in the Land of Steam, in the Hidden Steam Village, yeah, that's apparently what they call it, there was this one maniacal killer who was just going around and murdering everyone, and he was seemingly immortal. Of course, this is Hidan, but the Akatsuki does not know much about this guy. That is until they decide to encounter him and ambush him. They send Itachi, Konan, and frickin' Kakuzu to go after Hidan. And of course Kakuzu is going to be the one who's going to go up against him. But I love their initial confrontation. I especially love what Hidan is wearing with this big ridiculous coat which is just all over the top. When he actually transforms into his voodoo form, which is all black with white, it looks really awesome in this outfit. I just especially love that scene quite a bit. I also love how he immediately attacks Kakuzu, and Kakuzu just sends one of his arms flying right through his body, which could have easily just ripped his heart out. I'm surprised that he didn't do it right there. But of course we all know that Hidan is going to be just fine. Everyone is completely shocked over the prospect that Hidan is alive. But the series will tell us that because of his weird, crazy Joshin ninjutsu abilities, he can actually live as an immortal as long as he continues to kill people. In fact, he actually does manage to hurt Kakuzu in this episode, and even takes out one of his hearts. Although, after seeing Kakuzu get up, Hidan himself is also completely shocked at the prospect of another seemingly immortal ninja right before him. Of course, this is the birth of the amazing zombie brothers. This is a great confrontation between these two characters, and again proves why they're so perfect together. Try as they might, they just can't kill each other. Hidan's immortal, and Kakuzu's just gonna keep grabbing himself another heart. Realistically speaking, there is absolutely no way that Hidan could have defeated all three of these characters. I mean, Itachi, Konan, and Kakuzu, those are three really powerful characters. Hell, Itachi alone would have been able to take on Hidan, although with his voodoo abilities, who knows what's really possible. All I know is they were able to drag him into the Akatsuki organization, reassuring him that there will be tons of blood, guts, and lots of glory for Lord Joshin as long as he decides to become a member. The episode ends with Pain getting ready to send Itachi and Kisame to Konoha Village. This is right after Orochimaru had his big invasion during the Chunin exams, and it all ends with Itachi wondering if his younger brother Sasuke is safe. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? You know, I'm surprised they waited this long to give us this type of filler, because I wanted more background on the Akatsuki to see how the different members of the group actually joined, and this one was really entertaining. I especially loved all of the stuff with Hidan at the very end of this week's episode, just showing how maniacal and crazy he is, how basically he just sort of waits on the side of the road, waiting for a victim to appear. He asks if they want to be a part of the Joshin religion, and if they don't, he ends up cutting them in half with his giant scythe. And you knew that when Konan was finally walking that it was all going to be a big elaborate trap. And of course it was, with Kakuzu jumping in. I loved that scene where his arms stretched out and just exploded right through Hidan's body. Probably the best animated sequence from this week's episode. All of the stuff at the beginning with Sasori and Deidara going up against Orochimaru was okay at best. There were a lot of artwork moments that just made the characters look a little weird. However, I really loved how they did that battle with the third Kazekage who'd been reanimated, fighting against his puppet form. I thought that was really unique. It kind of reminded me of when we saw Sasori in the puppet version of him in the war arc with Kankuro. I just thought that was really awesome. It was a great callback to that scene, and I love when they insert events like this that we've never seen before, events that we never thought were even possible. And Orochimaru again proves that he's one of the best villains from the series, not even backing down when two really powerful members of the Akatsuki come knocking at his door. He's still a really badass character, and they were really shocked when they saw that Edo Tensei appear. Deidara just doing what Deidara does, which is talking about his love of art, how it's always fleeting, and he's constantly blowing shit up. If you love hearing Deidara scream, "Cuts!" you're gonna love this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden. But for me, I just loved getting to see how the various teams were formed, the first confrontation between Kakuzu and Hidan, which was great. These two characters hate each other, but they work perfectly together. That's what's just so amazing about them. Every time you get to learn a little bit more about the villains that they never really expanded upon, it's always a really good thing. So this is an episode of Naruto Shippuden which I can really recommend to every single Naruto fan. Whether you just read the manga version or you watch the anime and you read the manga, this is definitely an episode you need to see because it's going to expand on some of your favorite characters and villains from the series. And so at the end of the day, I have to say that I actually really loved this episode quite a bit. My only detriment, of course, is that the animation and the artwork could have looked a little bit better, but there were some events in this episode that I've been wanting to see for a really long time, and I'm glad that the animation team has finally been able to bring those to life. So this was a good episode of Naruto Shippuden, but not perfect, but it had some great storytelling and expanding on the universe, so I'm going to give this one right here a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Naruto fans! You might see something you like. But if any of you guys did watch this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts about the initial confrontation between Kakuzu and Hidan. What did you think of the battle with the two Kazekages going at each other? And what do you want to see from the finale of this Itachi arc, which is going to be coming up to a close very soon as we move ahead to the canon story of Naruto Shippuden. Oh yes, my friends, it's going to be glorious. You guys are friggin' awesome. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. If you would like to, please share this video review with all of your friends. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews as they are released. You guys can also follow us on social media like Facebook and Twitter. Make sure to look for all that stuff in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay Stay dandy, baby!